Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel, Joyful Jessie. In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you how is it that I make bistec encebollado. Pretty much what it is a Puerto Rican style steak. So make sure to stick around and watch. Alright my friends, this is what we're going to be needing to make our bistec encebollado today. First of all, I have some steak, in this case the eye of round steak, which is very lean. Typically my mom used to use the cube steak, but this is the one I'm using, and surprisingly it will become very tender. I have some onions and peppers here and some garlic. You don't have to use the onions and peppers if you don't like it. I personally like it, so that's what I'm using. And we're going to be using some adobo, some picadito or sofrito, a little bit of vegetable oil, and vinegar. The vinegar in this dish is key. So let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing we're going to start doing is marinating our steaks. I sometimes tenderize them with a tenderizer, but today I'm just gonna let them be. So I'm gonna start by adding about 1 to 2 tablespoons of sofrito or picadito, whatever is your choice. 2 tablespoons, the more the better. So 1 teaspoon of adobo. I'm gonna put about 2 teaspoons of the Worcestershire sauce. 1, 2, and I'm gonna put a couple tablespoons of the vinegar. So let's see how many I end up putting. 1, 2, I'm gonna do 3. 3 tablespoons of vinegar. And I might add some more when I cook. We shall see. Then I'm gonna take my cloves of garlic. I'm gonna press them in there. And 1 teaspoon of oregano. And quite frankly, you can just add whatever other seasonings you want to add to it. Like if you want to add onion powder and that kind of stuff, you can add that too. And garlic powder, which I already have the garlic in there. And then if you want to add sazon, you can add sazon too. In this particular case, I'm just going to do it as is, just keeping it plain and simple. So I'm going to move it around, make sure that that garlic goes on each steak. I'm going to poke some holes since I'm not tenderizing it, so the marinade makes it through. Oops. All right, now we're gonna let this sit and marinate for about 30 minutes to an hour or so. Alrighty guys, so now we are going to get ready to saute our veggies. Our steak has been marinating, I'd say for about 40 minutes now. I'm gonna just cover the bottom of my pan with a little bit of oil, and the first thing I'm gonna do is saute my veggies. And I personally like to add peppers to mine. Traditional Puerto Rican bistec encebollado just has the onions, but we absolutely love pepper here, so we are going to use it in there. So I'm first going to let this oil just heat up for a little bit, maybe a minute or two, and once it gets hot, we'll go ahead and add our veggies. All right, I feel like our oil is ready, so I'm gonna go ahead and add, maybe I need a little bit more time. Whoops, I thought it was ready. I guess it wasn't. But while we wait for this oil to be ready, I remember when I was in high school, my senior year, in social studies class, we were doing like a get to know you activity. And I remember one of the questions was like, what's your favorite meal? And I said bistec encebollado. And that is pretty much, you know, what I'm making now. Steak with onions. And I remember my teacher being like, what is, like, and I was like, you know, like Puerto Rican stuff. They're like, we've never had that before. Maybe one day you should have your mom or something bring it in for us. And I was like, oh yeah, it's the best. Then I went home and I told my mom, and my mom was like, oh yeah, I'll make it for them. And she actually made a full-blown meal for lunch and delivered it to the school for my social studies teacher. I remember it was like the social studies teacher, the principal, some of my friends that actually wanted some. So she made like several plates, you know, like the styrofoam takeout containers. And she actually, whoops, there goes our pepper, brought it to school. And it was like, they loved it. They absolutely, like, they were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe your mom actually did this for us. They absolutely loved it. And my mom loved making it too. I think that's something about our culture, and is that we take pride in our food and we don't mind cooking for people. Like, that's a thing. I always remember my mom being, you know, she's always been willing to cook. And in my church and stuff, there's always like people like who are cooking and sharing their food with others, and I guess that's the beauty of it. Like, it's fun. We like sharing our yumminess with others. So I'm gonna saute these for a couple minutes until they start browning a little bit, and then after they start browning, I'm gonna remove them out. And here I have our steak that has been marinating. I'm gonna go ahead and add it on here. Yum. And right now my fire I turned it down because it was a little bit too high. So I turned it down to low, but pretty soon I'll probably put it up a little bit. I just want to brown the edges real quick. I'm just gonna put the remaining of my marinade in there. Oh, it's gonna be so good, guys. Now that the pan got a little bit cooler, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up to a medium. We're gonna cook each side. I don't know, I usually do it by sight, so I'm gonna calculate, I'm gonna watch the clock here, and then when it's done, I'll let you know how many minutes I let on each side. All right, so it's been about 2 minutes, and now I'm gonna go ahead and turn it around just to get the other side sealed. All right, so it's been about 2 more minutes. And let me see what it looks like. Oh, yum. It's releasing a lot of good juices. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my onions and my peppers, and I'm gonna lay it all on top like this. Yum. Now, I personally like a little bit more juice to it. Sometimes you can do this with tomato sauce, but today I'm just leaving it as is. I'm gonna add about a quarter cup of water on there just to give it a little bit more juice, because we're gonna cook it at low heat and it's gonna be covered. But I also wanna add a little bit more vinegar. I love the tanginess the vinegar will give it. So I'm gonna add about, let me see, another tablespoon? Let me see. 2 tablespoons. And then I'm going to go ahead and cover it. I'm gonna cook it covered at medium heat for about 15 minutes. Then I'm gonna come back, flip the steaks over, cover it up again, and then cook it for an additional 30 minutes at low heat for a total of 45 minutes or so. I'm just gonna show you guys what I'm making this with today. I'm making it with some maduros, some habichuelas negras, and some white rice. Now that our food is done cooking, it's been about 45 minutes that our steaks were cooking. It is time to serve it and enjoy. In this particular case, like I said, I am making this with maduros, with ripe plantains, and with black beans, as well as white rice. If you're interested in seeing how is it that I make white rice or black beans or my maduros, I do have videos showing you how to do that, and I'll link it in the description below. Well, my friends, it is that easy. Now is your turn to go ahead and give this yumminess a try. I'm sure that you will enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.